And this next one, guys, possibly has to be one of the most somber and saddening post-game interviews I've ever seen. This stemming from the Counter-Strike scene, what we talked about last week as Logic and Pusha T and many other investors into Chaos Esports Club, now transitioning the entire esports organization into content creation and more of the gaming side of things, and we'll see what they do as they have now backed out of pretty much all things esports related. CSGO is set to be one of them, and the last now official tournament that Chaos Esports Club will be in CSGO, they do take away as a victory. The team I'm about to show for all of you guys, in case you do not know, has now won both of their last events, one at DreamHack Winter this past weekend, as well as IEM Beijing not too long before that. Unfortunately, so they are no longer underneath Chaos Esports Club, and in this interview, I think Pimp and Banks do a great job in saving what they could have. Just a very obviously somber moment as they first talk about not being able to go to Europe, most likely, as they announced this morning. Unfortunately, they will not be attending the Global Challenge. And with that, even answering more so the important focus of this interview, they go on to say that there is no interest in CSGO currently, especially now the rise in the current climate of Valorant. Even despite them winning and being one of the most notable North American remaining teams, there is no interest in them at all in Counter-Strike Global Offensive.
A phenomenal job, you know, playing under these rough circumstances. Now, I do gotta ask you, right, because it seems to me when I look at your social medias, when I look at your presence on the server, that you guys still have a love for Counter-Strike. How much would you like to still continue to play this game and fight for, I guess, for a spot to come back, you know, where it's fun to play within North American Counter-Strike, where it's fun to go to European tournaments? Can you guys maybe give yourself a window of opportunity for some of the sponsors, some of the organizations out there? How much do you want it?
I mean, I don't know. I can't really say much more than we already have, right? Like, we've proven ourselves time over time again. It's just, it is what it is, regardless. I mean, we'll all be fine in the future, whichever path it takes us down, but there's really not much more we can do to prove ourselves than we have already. Obviously, there's no lands. We can't prove ourselves on land. We can go to Europe, I guess, but like even then, it's like, what's the point?
Is that an option?
If no one's gonna.
Is that an option? Have you guys considered maybe relocating to Europe to continue the dream?
Not without a sponsor, no. Just doesn't make sense financially.
And that's always a problem for you guys. Now, I've got to ask one question, right? You've got the Global Challenge still ahead of you here. Are you guys going to be taking that on as the team still?
Sorry, like as Chaos?
Well, just as all of you guys, as you five, regardless of who you're representing.
Yeah, we're planning to attend.
So that will still take place. That's a positive sign. And how are you going to get practice and get yourselves ready for that then?
I mean, hopefully European practice is a little better than what we've dealt with here.
You're right about the practice and it's not being up to standard, not enough good teams out there in NA. How much do you look forward to going up against some of the best teams? Is that what fuels you? Is that what motivates you guys right now?
I mean, obviously the goal is always to compete against the best, right? But you can't really do that in this region at the moment. I mean, it's always been like kind of hard to get good practice, but like especially because all these teams that are supposed to live here are gone. Like the Booms, the MIBRs, like the Fury. I mean, obviously Fury, EG, and Liquid were here for most of the year, but like I think we're missing like 2 or 3 Brazilian teams for a large majority of the year, which made the practice a lot worse than it typically is. Like NA was never a super strong region, but there was definitely like teams that were like relatively good practice. But like at the current moment, I really think scrimming doesn't make us better. That's kind of egotistical, but it's like the only thing teams they benefit more from us playing them than we do from playing them because they just don't do the same thing in matches and scrims.
There's still no offers or anything on the card. Has there been any interest when you're having these conversations? Because I'm eager to know of like, have they set you a goalpost or have you spoken to organizations that said, if you do X, Y, and Z, you can have this? Or is it just literally nothing?
We can't even get a hold of FPX and Guild, which are the two big ones. Like,
it's just, there's nothing, honestly. Like, just completely honest, there's absolutely no interest in Counter-Strike at the moment. Kind of makes sense, right? But it's just, it is what it is.
Valorant is definitely the bigger market due to Riot and their communication and the way that they do things.
I mean, people just don't have faith in Valve compared to Riot. There's going to be ways for orgs and stuff to monetize themselves in Riot, and Valve really doesn't give that option to anyone. And they probably never will, considering they've also killed NA Dota. So, I mean, there's really no expectations.
And honestly, it's more so a terrifying thought, as we have already talked about North American CSGO struggling, you know, one of the few remaining names inside North America, as they also say. Practice was already kind of a struggle, even more so now with them being one of the best remaining. There really is no benefit to them besides the other teams benefiting way more than they do from that personal practice. It really does hit home differently when they say there is no interest and they can't even get a hold of the only remaining organizations who maybe would be signing a a North American team. Now, there are plenty of people out there saying Optic, they can save the day and acquire this roster. Does it even make financial, or does it even feasible to make that a kind of investment right now? Yes, these guys are characters. Someone like Vanity cannot be mimicked across many organizations out there. To me, comes across as a guy like Floppy, right? Their personalities are great. Their successes are pretty good in North America, but is it financially feasible to invest in these guys as part of the Optic brand or Guild or FPX, who they say they can't even get a hold of? I can't answer those questions. It's just crazy to see, especially with this past weekend, the success, the potential that is currently there in Valorant. We see all of these top esports organizations who are tied to the LCS or the LEC, or just amidst your top names in general, many of whom are not in Counter-Strike, are turning towards Valorant instead. And now we have these players potentially doing the same if they can't find an offer in North American CS, which they seemingly can't. It's depressing. I can't imagine how these guys feel. So please check them out. The former Chaos Esports Club and their former CSGO lineup is now free. Will they be picked up? They think not. It's just, it's a crazy time. I really, truly never saw Valorant taking this vast of a rise this fast towards the end of this year. And now that rise is attributing to the downfall, it seems, of North American Counter-Strike. What do you guys think about this? Until next time, you know what to do. I'll catch you back here sometime soon. Take care.